Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Amongst my limited time to play this game and make videos, I have been requested to do something behind the scenes by some friends that I'm going to call in the arena community, which is a community a lot of people are proudly not in because you have things called lives. And if somebody asks me, Prof, what's your number one addiction in life? My answer has always been productivity, because before I played this game, before I did YouTube, I was still obsessed with trying to find something that I could throw all my time into when I wasn't teaching, especially in the summer and the off season. But really, like if I look at just what I spend the most time with in the game itself, for years, of course, it is a true arena addiction. And that is, even on the best of days and the most enjoyable of days, exhausting. You could give me like the most common, easy arena fights, and I'm still going to need to have a TV on in the background. Or when people ask me, Prof, how do you do it? I often listen to podcasts. I have a laptop that's set up to the right of my couch, and I'll play YouTube videos. Sometimes it's fantastic other content creators on MCFC. A lot of times it's like watching Pat McAfee or watching UFO videos or my man Beard Meets Food. Those names might not mean anything to you. Maybe some people know some of them. But, something that I can just casually watch while I'm playing. It actually was pretty cool because it prepared me to not look at the screen when I'm answering comments on live streams. People ask me, Prof, how did you get to do that? Well, I think it's because I did Arena for quite a few years before I did YouTube, and I would need to watch a YouTube video or my TV screen while not looking at the screen for my own sanity. Arena burnout is guaranteed even if there aren't major factors that make it more difficult. And yet, one of the reasons why I was asked to do some, I guess you call it investigation. That's a fancy way and probably an over-embellished way of saying, just pay attention, man. Let the people know what you're seeing in the arena that's changing, because I have been asked by a few people that I'm close with and that I trust to talk about the changes in, not the matchups for PI. That seems to be pretty under control if you follow the infinite streak system, which I haven't done a video on maybe even this year. But essentially, long story short, and I can do a longer video on this maybe the next couple weeks, but long story short, once you get to a win streak of 15, that's generally when you want to feel safer to use your rank 3, 6 stars. But I am blessed to have such a big roster now that I oftentimes now will do the opposite. I will not run any 6-star that's rank 1. And at the worst, it'll be rank 2. So we're talking about, with my full recoil mastery setup, like 16,000 PI around, maybe 14,000. But I woke up to contribute this last cycle of arena points for both the Angela and Cassie Lang arenas. I'm not going to do any more. So if 26.2 million and 12 million are not enough to get the top 5%, so be it. But what I wanted to show off, or really showcase, is a couple of matchups that I think are indicative of this newer arena burnout. And one of them involves a higher percentage of times that I have run into Weapon X. Now, I barely won that fight. This is what I would consider like a 1 out of 10 in terms of burnout risk, like a 5, just because Wolverine, Weapon X, like one of my pet peeves is when I'm talking about arena matchup issues and people will say, just use Nimrod, just use Warlock. You can't. Do you not understand how the arena works? I can't just teleport a different champion here because I don't like the matchup. Now, I can use units to potentially change the matchup, but I refuse to do that because that is not a good way to blow through units. But this is like technically an average matchup with an annoying last fight. Compare this Cap, Infinity War, Cosmic Ghost Rider, and Weapon X matchup I encountered to one easy matchup of Sunspot with Shuri. There's no excuse for me to ever lose that fight. But then the combination of Nick Fury and Absorbing Man makes it more exhausting. I won all 3 of these matchups. This video is not to say that you shouldn't win all 3 matchups. You can notice that the PI is still I don't know if significantly is the right word, but fairly lower than my PI. You've got an 18,780 Doc Ock going up against a 15,640 Nick Fury, and a 18,730 Black Cat going up against a 15,220 Absorbing Man. That is not something that's supposed to be scary, but it is something that is supposed to be inconvenient. Because Absorbing Man and Nick Fury are two of the most annoying defenders in Battlegrounds, and you better believe that Kabam keeps track of that data and influences occasional arena matchups. I kept thinking to myself, because I was horrible against Absorbing Man for a long time. And again, people will say, well, just use Human Torch, just use Void. You can't do that in the arena. That's part of why I'm making this video. It's a kind of burnout that, again, you'd have burnout even if everything was Winter Soldier, OG Iron Man, and Superior Iron Man. Like, if you fought that matchup too many times, even if you had your best 6 stars or 7 stars against that team, you'd still be burnt out just because it's exhausting. It's like, the arena is like running a hamster wheel that just resets every couple days. But when you combine that with a growing trend of these better defenders, it's just exhausting. And then you combine that with Battlegrounds matchups being tougher and the system being more exhausting than ever and the rewards being worse than ever, especially compared to the amazing rewards of last season's special event. I gotta be honest. If I didn't have a YouTube channel, if I wasn't so plugged into this community that's literally a part of my identity, if I just played this game casually, I'd quit. This would be my breaking point. And I would not regret it because I would not miss the exhaustion I felt from BS Battlegrounds matchups and metas and arena fights that are just not worth it. That's not to say I'm going to quit because, again, I'm heavily invested in the game, the channel, the brand, and I don't even want to say my own sanity because I don't know how you stay sane doing this because one would argue I don't have my sanity and I don't know if I could even argue against that at this point. But it is worth noting that arena burnout is more real than ever, and that's contributing to overall burnout, especially when you consider the kind of mediocre side quest rewards this month compared to what we know is the whale insane rewards of July 4th or Cyber Weekend or even spring cleaning. So this is today's video topic. I know if you don't do the arena, you may not care, but this is another one of those videos that even if it gets like 200 views, there's got to be somebody in those 200 views that's nodding their head during this video because they understand the ramifications of what these kind of defenders, especially, like I had Absorbing Man show up in 4 straight matchups. I won all 4, but I was just like, really? Another one? Again? This is not relaxing. This is kind of stressful. The arena at its best is like autopilot for your brain. But it's the reality of Kabam also wanting to make it more difficult to get free units. And that is something that I completely understand, especially when the rewards are so good with those units on the special whale holidays.